From November 14th to 21st, we're inviting you to join us for a powerful trip to Ghana. This isn't just a vacation. This is a chance to walk through the same places where many of our people were captured, held, and shipped off into slavery. So don't wait. Secure your spot today. We're making history by walking through it. Will you be with us?
Reparations, once dismissed as impossible, now a rising global demand. From the Caribbean to the US, Black descendants of slavery are raising their voices for justice. But while the goal may be similar, the strategies couldn't be more different. I'm Whitney Mckoy reporting for ADNC News, and let's get into the Caribbean's latest call for reparations. Recently, CARICOM, an alliance of 20 Caribbean nations, stepped up its long-standing call for reparations. They've updated their 10-point plan for reparatory justice, demanding action from former colonial powers like the United Kingdom, France, and the Netherlands. But this isn't just about cash. It's about formal apologies, public investment, educational support, and cancelling crippling debts. As CARICOM puts it, it's not an handout. It's a settlement of historical debt. Sir Hilary, Beckles, chairman of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, has said it best. Reparations are a matter of moral and legal obligation. This is not a handout. It is a settlement of debt long overdue. Beckles made this point at the UN at Oxford and most recently at the Commonwealth Summit in 2024. He's not backing down, and neither is the region. Their demands are lineage-based, targeting the US government specifically and calling for direct cash payments, land, tax exemptions, and institutional reform. They emphasize that reparations should go only to the direct descendants of enslaved African Americans. Unlike CARICOM's regional unity approach, FBA and ADOS focus on lineage, not necessarily geography. Now, let's take a look at what's happening in the United States. I mean, movements like the Foundational Black Americans, or FBAs, and the American descendants of slavery known as the ADOs, they're also demanding reparations, but from a different angle.
I support this effort as a thoughtful contribution to the foundation of the decades of work we have done in Congress to move the needle forward. In particular, this resolution calls out our government's failure to pass H.R. 40 legislation, which I introduced this session, and a measure that has now been introduced in Congress for over 30 years, seeking the establishment of a commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans. H.R. 40 is the pathway for a governmental framework that will help restore national balance and unity in terms of wealth, healthcare, education, housing, and the criminal justice system. By passing H.R. 40, Congress can start a movement toward the national reckoning we need to bridge racial divides. Reparations are ultimately about respect, reconciliation, and healing, and the hope that one day Americans of all backgrounds can walk together toward a more just future. Congress can start a movement toward the national reckoning. We need to build a bridge racial divide.
Today is 160 years since the Morant Bay Rebellion. For many, there is an expectation that for the wrongs that were done to us and our forebears and our ancestors, that there must be reparations. And I believe that there must be reparations. And eventually, inevitably, there will be reparations. We must keep up the fight for reparations. But I also believe that the duty of reparations does not only lie on the generations that follow the wrong, in the sense of the generations of those who committed the wrong should right the wrongs of their forebears. It is also incumbent on the generations of the victims to also, in their own actions, in their own achievements.
So, what's the difference? Well, CARICOM is targeting foreign governments that colonized the Caribbean. FBA and ADOS are focused on justice from within the United States. So one is international and pan-Caribbean, while the other is domestic and lineage-specific. But both movements are united by one common truth. The descendants of the enslaved are still paying the price of history. So they're demanding payments on their terms. And it's not just a Caribbean or American issue anymore, African leaders, Black European activists, and members of the diaspora worldwide are joining the conversation. In the US, Congresswoman Cori Bush and others are pushing legislation and supporting the global reparations cause. This is a global reckoning, actually, and the fight is very far from over. Our Prime Minister here in Jamaica, Andrew Holness, said it plainly. We are not begging, we are demanding justice for crimes against humanity. So what are your thoughts? Should Caribbean nations receive reparations from Europe? Well, drop your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to keep the conversation going. I'm Whitney Mckoy, reporting for ADNC News.